wrestling diehards only, this is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome into our special state tournament preview edition of the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com. This is the one we've all been waiting for. We are coming to you live tonight on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Twitter account, as well as the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page. And we're going to break it all down, 5A all the way down to 2A/1A. We'll talk about the girls. We'll break out the brackets. We'll give you our contenders, our dark horses. We'll take your questions, your shout outs, your comments live in the chat. So thank you for hanging out with us tonight, Idaho Wrestling Nation. While you're hanging out tonight, not everybody can be here live for our state tournament preview special, but between now and when the competition begins this weekend, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to go back and watch this on replay or listen to this on IdahoSports.com or wherever you download podcasts. So if you can hit that like button and then share this when we're all said and done, that'll help everybody find it a little easier amongst all of that social media scrolling. All right, my name is Brandon Bainey. Let's bring in the panel here tonight for our state tournament preview extravaganza. Up first tonight, Jacob Eck. Jacob, what's going on?
How's it going?
Good. You've been a busy guy lately in your work life. And yeah.
All of life. Just dragging me through the mud. So I'm ready
literally.
now. Yeah, no kidding.
Literally in the mud. Okay, let's bring in Coach Al Fontes from the Treasure Valley. Al, what's up?
Not much. Been hard at it, working on the state previews for all 5 divisions. It's a lot of data is coming your way. It's going to be a total of about 30 to 35 pages of Idaho wrestling statistics going into state. So I'm
if
ready.
You want to, I know all of our fans out there in the comments already know it all, but if you want to be the ultimate know-it-all, you're going to want to check out Al's preview because he's got all of the data, all the statistics, everything you need to know. It's a big state tournament primer. It's coming to IdahoSports.com before state begins this week on the website. Let's bring in the 4th member of our panel from East Idaho, Brian Zollinger. Brian, what's up?
What's going on, fellow diehards? Ready to rock tonight?
Absolutely. And guys, we already have the comment section rocking and rolling. Here's Travis. Let's go Sandpoint Bulldogs. Yeah, we're going to talk about the 4A bracket coming up. Lynn, of course. Let's go Post Falls Trojans. Bruce says, sorry, I missed you guys last week. I had to go to Lewiston. My son coaches a junior high team and had to watch them wrestle. Bruce, lucky for you, we took the week off too because we wanted to make sure we really had our ducks in a row for this big state tournament preview special. Here's Jeffrey Clark. Hello, Coach Al.
Hey, what's up, Coach? How you doing?
And Jeffrey as well. Hello, Mr. Z.
What's going on, Jeff?
I like that. Mr. Z. That's good. I like that
Mr.
moniker.
Z.
That's good. Hey, Garrett Vale is here in the chat. Hey, guys. Good to see you, Garrett. He's been a steady participant week in, week out here on the Mat Chat Prepcast. Matthew says, thanks, Al, for all that hard work you're doing, putting together that state tournament preview. So we're looking
Thank
forward
you for the kids and for the sport.
For sure. Okay, Bethany, Post Falls Trojans. So excited to get my kiddo back on the mat. Yes, that is such a big storyline with Post Falls, right? All these athletes that had been out and injured back for the postseason. Here's Wendy. Shout out to Izzy Davis. Go Kellogg. Let's see. Another one for the Post Falls Trojans here from Martina and Tina. And also, before we get to the questions, because we're already getting those in the chat too, Mike says, told the kids club for every minute I was late to this. That's how long they're sprinting tomorrow. 5 minutes it is. Boy, that's I couldn't go 5 seconds anymore, so I am past my prime for sure. Hey, here's Coach. Right? Coach Snyder, let's go Idaho Falls Tigers. Brian, is that a special state mustache?
Absolutely.
Oh, Probably not the first or the last comment we're going to get tonight about Brian's stash, I'm sure. That's a weekly segment. Another weekly segment we like to do here on the Matt Chat Prepcast is the best thing that I saw from the past week. And really, we could go back 2 weeks since we took last week off. Jacob, I'll start with you tonight first. Bat and lead off. What was the best thing that you saw over the last 2 weeks of competition?
Post Falls getting their, at least the 2 injured guys I know about, back on the mat and looked pretty healthy for the most part. Getting Ryder back, that was a big one. I didn't know if he'd come back after a broken hand and then the infection, the 60-pounder, right? Yeah, him coming back. That's big for them for a team race, big time.
Yeah, for Trey Smith to come back from Post Falls after that bad infection. What an incredible story that is, for sure. And so, yeah, Post Falls has a couple of extra guys in the lineup that could help them out for sure. Coach Al, what was the best thing you saw from the past week or past 2 weeks of wrestling? Well, Al may have frozen. Might have to defer to. Oh, yep, he's out. He teased his preview and he's out. That's it. See you later, guys. All right, I'm sure Al will hop back on here in a second. Coach Snyder says, glad to hear Trey Smith is back. Yes, we're excited too. Al, you back with us?
Yeah, I'll be back. Yes, I'm back.
Like a good neighbor. I'm sure everybody saw that Super Bowl commercial, right?
Yeah.
All right, Al, what was the best thing you saw from the past 2 weeks?
It's a multitude of things. The team I coach at Rocky Mountain, you're starting to see, at least from my program I'm working with, it was great to see a bunch of kids that bought into the process, the system, and starting to see results. So from that perspective, I was really happy with the kids I had an opportunity and privilege to coach to step up at the district championship, and several of them are going to the state tournament. But another thing I like to bring up too, it was really great, and everyone knows about it, is Idaho great Adam Hall, who is the coach at North Carolina State. He just got the head coaching position at University or at Utah Valley University. That's a great thing. I think it's great for wrestling in the region. He's probably one of the best assistant coaches in the country right now.
Yep, Utah Valley down in Orem for sure. That's a big get for them, and another pipeline for all those Idaho kids. I'm thinking immediately, East Idaho, trickle down to Utah and be a part of a D1 program there. That could be huge for the state for sure. Brian, what was the best thing you saw from the past 2 weeks?
I knew Al was going to take that one, so I had a backup line. And that was to just say all the kids that were back in the brackets: Trey Smith, Ryder Seguin, Minico got a couple back. Paxton Twist hadn't wrestled since Raleigh Lane, made it back for the district tournament. So that was going to be my thing, but I'll go somewhere else. I saw a Facebook post, talked to her dad. We had a young lady, a freshman from Rigby, Lachlan Harned, get recognized as a top 15 for the future Olympian rankings for her traveling off season. And so that's impressive to see. And so I'll go with that since they stole my thunder.
That's a good one, Brian. That's a really good one. That's a good backup.
You can add to it, brother.
All right, guys. The best thing that I saw, of course, I always got to represent North Idaho now that I live up here. Lakeside High School, really small 1A D1 school, 1A for wrestling, of course, brought back wrestling for the first time in a long time this year. And they have their first state qualifier, guys, since the early 2000s. And this is a kid I got to watch play football, Lucky Matt. It's the best name ever. He made our all 8-man football all-name team earlier this fall, Lucky Matt. The game I was at in football, he was named homecoming king at halftime, and then he had a scoop and score for a touchdown on the opening drive of the second half. And so you couldn't have had a better night. And now here he is, first Lakeside wrestler since the early 2000s to get to state. I thought that was a really cool deal. So.
Did they get 2 of them?
Yes, and then they did. They got a second qualifier as well. You're right. Lane Morris then got, I think, an at-large spot, wild card spot. So
they're coached by Julio's now, huh?
Yes.
Julio just took over.
Yeah, I think excitement's pretty high. So up there in Plummer and Worley. That's awesome.
It's a couple of state titles in that Julio family now and the coaching staff. That's pretty good.
Yep, for sure. Okay, well, let's get back to the comments here. Go Zoe and Xander. Go Skyline girls and boys, of course, Brian. Jacqueline. Right, it's bedtime. Let's go Post Falls Trojans. Kelly says go Sandpoint Bulldogs. Here's Bugsy. He's going to be in the middle of the mats helping his dad take pictures for the Coeur d'Alene Press, even though they live in the Magic Valley. All right, we'll see if we can spot you out there, Bugsy, in amongst the action this weekend. Beck and Dub. Let's go Emmett. 7 boys and 3 girls going to state. Yeah, we kind of totaled up who was bringing what for boys and girls, Al, but I didn't think to do a combo. I would assume who do you think would have the most boys and girls total? That's tough, right?
Question. I know at Rocky we have a total of 17. That's a good question. Maybe Eagle's up there because I think Eagle has I'd have to go back and look. I think Eagle has something like 13 boys and maybe 7 or 8 girls. So they'll be up there too. But that's a good question.
I think it might be Meridian just because they have 24 boys just with 1 girl. So
yeah, there you go.
That's kind of the cheat code, Brian. That's true though. All right, here's Eddie. Let's go Firth over there in East Idaho. 2A. Lynn says, go Trey Smith, proud grandma. Yeah, big storyline this weekend for the Post Falls Trojan. Here's HA. Watching kids achieve their goal of making it to state was a beautiful thing to watch. It was a great weekend of district competition all throughout for sure. David and Michaela, go get them Spartans, of course, representing Minico High. Here's Ann from Jerome. Great job, Jerome Tigers. 5 girls, 12 boys get to state. Megan, Lewiston's bringing 10 boys and 3 girls, so they're right there. In terms of total combination as well. Johnette says, let's go Blackfoot Broncos. Here's another one for Jerome Tigers. Jacqueline, Post Falls, 19. They're kind of like Meridian here. 19 boys, 1 girl, 20 total. That's pretty good. Travis, Meridian, 24 boys, 2 girls. Yep.
The answer's in the chat, though. Fruitland. I didn't think about that one.
Oh, yeah.
26 boys, 4 girls, 30. I think that's it.
That's it. Yep. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yep. Danielle says, I bet Minico is close. Yep. I think they're probably top 5 for sure. Grace Grizzlies bringing 7 boys and 2 girls. That's pretty good for a 1A. Lisa says Middleton is taking a record 25 boys and girls. Al, we've talked about this all year, but Middleton is somewhat new to the 5A level. They only moved up, last season, and here they are holding their own against all their 5A contemporaries.
They did really well at the district championships, and they definitely will challenge for a top 3 position in 5A. Definitely. So they're looking good. They got some hammers.
Yep. Here's another 5A. Jack says he's all in for Owyhee, a young team, but still bringing 4 boys and 2 girls this year. Max Osmond from Owyhee hit 100 varsity wins at districts last week. And Owyhee is still a fairly new school. It's hard to forget sometimes because they've had instant success in other sports, but wrestling is not something you just build overnight. It takes a couple of years and you have to develop a culture. And so good to see Owyhee continuing to go there. Mike representing Canyon Ridge and Lane Schultz in a great girls program. Yes, we're going to talk about those Canyon Ridge girls coming up tonight for sure. Melody, Buell's got 22 boys, 2 girls. Here's Myriad, New Plymouth Pilgrims, 15 boys, 1 girl. Okay. Here's David and Michaela. Minico has 20 boys, 6 girls. So that would be like top 3 almost. Yep, Fruitland's still the leader there, though. Madison, 21 boys, 2 girls. Glens Ferry, 5 boys, 2 girls. Madison with a school record, 21 boys, 2 girls. Schools are setting records. I love it. Sarah says go Declo Hornets as well, representing there at the 2A level. All right, let's get to the questions. I'm going to go all the way back up to the top of the chat, guys, for our first question of the night, besides the one asking about if Brian had a special state tournament mustache. that was the first official question, but let's see, where was that question at? trying to find it here in the chat. Okay, I'll come back to it. I promise. I'm not going to lose that question. Here is one out of the gates, though. Jonathan wants to know who's the favorite to win the 3A state title. Al, I've made these really cool graphics based upon how many, athletes are coming to compete. We've kind of identified teams we view as contenders and teams we view as dark horses. So let's start with our 3A, since that was the question. Who do we like for 3A, Al? Give us the quick rundown here. Here's what we've got.
So basically, you got Fruitland. They got 26 kids entering the state tournament, 7 of which are returning state placers. They have 6 others that have between 2 to 4 years experience going to the state tournament, and then 13 other kids making their first trip. They're going to be very difficult to beat. And right behind them, I think it's going to challenge them for the state title is Buell. They got a total of 22 kids entering the state tournament with 6 state placers, 3 returning state qualifiers, and 13 more making their first trip to the state tournament. So I think between those 2 schools, they're going to be the teams to beat.
At the start of the season, when we made our championship predictions, I went with Buell. Brian, I'm trying to remember. Did you have a lean?
I think I lean Fruitland, and I still do. 4 number 1 seeds, 4 number 2 seeds. That's just you got to assume all 8 of those are going to podium. And if they really ended up with 4 champions and 4 runner-ups, that's pretty tough to beat, even though Buell's bringing a lot of kids. Buell's actually got 12 kids seated in the top 6. Fruitland only 10, but just not as high. So, I can't remember if I went Buell or Fruitland, but I'm leaning Fruitland at this moment.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go back and look. Our picks are in the vault, but I think maybe officially I think it might have been Buell, but I don't know that for sure. Jacob, when you look at the 3A race, how do you think it shakes out?
I definitely think Fruitland's a favorite, but Buell has a chance. I think it's all Fruitland and Buell, and then 3 and 4 come down to literally any one of those teams can kind of steal it and sneak into the 3rd and 4th. But as far as 1 and 2, it's going to come down to Fruitland and how many champs can they have, and then Buell the same way.
Yep.
And then who puts more higher?
Is there one team from this dark horse side you've got your eye on, Jacob?
I mean, AF should do well, but how many guys are going to go on the podium? How much of that is, good depth? Snake River, too, they have a ton of big guys. It's going to come down to one of those 2. Who could get those 2s, or who can even get some of those guys to win a couple matches? Like maybe took 3rd or 4th and got a wild card and got in on an at-large. Win 2 matches at state, that's big.
Contrasting styles here. The 3 teams all from District 5 made our list here. Marsh Valley brings the fewest amount of guys with 12, and yet they're in that contender pile because of the guys at the top, right? It's the quality over the quantity over American Falls and Snake River. And that's what state is all about this time of year. Some teams try to do it with the quantity. Some teams try to do it with the quality. The lower you get, the easier that is to accomplish. It's really hard at the 5A level, right? You got to bring a lot of guys to compete.
Yeah, because Brandon, if you look at Marsh, they got Seth Lish, 2nd at state. Cullen Morris, 2nd at state. Rocky Morris, 2-time state placer. Highest is 3rd. Cole Dockey, 3rd and 6th at state. And then Riker Gibson, who's a returning state champion. So, like you said, they got some solid kids. And then they got an additional 7 other kids coming up that are going to challenge for a medal. So
I think Marsh puts 9.
Fremont.
I think Marsh puts 9 on the podium, maybe 8. 9 on the podium is pretty good, though.
I think that's possible.
You start going through it. I think they podium the first 5 weights, skip a weight, and go 4 more. It's pretty good. You should get a trophy.
9 to 12. That's high efficiency. That's good.
You'd think, and that's why.
But let's not forget about.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Al. Let's not forget what.
Let's not forget about South Fremont, the defending state champions. I mean, they got 20 kids entering the state tournament. You got 4 returning state placers, with 2 of them, Bowden Banta and Matt Clark, state champions. You got Jackson Pachter, who's a state finalist, and Chavon Bauer, who's a state medalist, along with 9 other qualifiers. So I think they're going to be in the mix as well. And then they have 6 additional kids with entering the state for the first time. So we can't discount South Fremont being in the mix as well.
Yeah, they might be the least hyped defending state champion. I've seen South Fremont kind of got lost in the shuffle there a little bit, for sure. Okay, guys, here is the first question of the night that I wanted to get to here. Melinda wanted to know best bracket to watch in each division. So let's do this. Al, I'm going to give you 5A. Brian, I'll give you 4A. Jacob, I'll give you 3A, and then we'll circle back around to 2A and girls. So Al, you got a weight you're keeping an eye on at the 5A?
To be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to look at them at depth. So let me look at that for a second before I answer.
Okay, Brian, you got a 4A?
I don't have that answer at this point.
I've got a couple. I think the 170 is really interesting. Siemens hadn't lost to an Idaho opponent until district, where Hoagland beat him in the finals. He beat Martin twice, the second seed. Siemens still ends up 1. So I think 4A 170 is interesting, but I'm going to go with 4A 132. You got Castanego, the 1 seed, Sean Hall, Canyon Ridge, the 2, Carter Balmforth, a 3-time state placer, coming in at the 3 seed. And then sitting at the 6 seed, you have Tragan Morin, another state placer that was injured for a lot of the season, as the 6 seed. And there's a couple other kids in there. Ty Adams, a Bunderson kid from Pocatello, could make some noise. The Sandpoint kid, Hawkins. That's just one of those stacked brackets that, it's going to be fun to watch that entire bracket.
Jacob, you got a 3A? You keeping an eye on?
3A 32. Probably the most wide open / best one. I think there's 3 different state champs, 4 of them have been finalists, 4 kids are finalists. Let's see. There you go. Googleman. Brunson has 2 titles. Ashley has a title 2 years ago. Orr has been in the finals. I mean, you start going through it all. Zanetti has 5 losses. You're the 5 seed with 5 losses.
Yeah.
That's
the
nuts.
6 seed is 7 or 8 losses, something like that. And then you sprinkle in some other. You never know what happens at state.
Yeah.
Kind of get your hands locked in somebody and big noise.
Can you imagine if we had Packer in there too? Instead of
right.
Like, that would have been brutal.
Like, what the heck?
Al, did you have time to pick out a 5A weight you liked? Uh-oh, we lost Al again. I think for me, 5A, guys, you tell me if I'm wrong. I'm really interested to see the heavyweights, just because Aiden Natal has dominated that, and now he's gone. Who steps up? Who fills that vacancy, right? That's the storyline I'm looking at for 5A, is the heavyweights.
Yeah.
All right.
I like 5A 113 just because I want to see Gonzo and Contreras wrestle again.
Yeah.
I watched that match. It was nice to have the districts over there in Boise stream. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know not everybody can, but it was nice to be able to watch.
Yep.
2A, Brian, you got a 2A off the top of your head you're looking at?
Off the top of my head, 2A. I would have to think about the 2A brackets there.
We'll see if we can get it
as well.
Yeah, it's right. 132 statewide is going to be fun.
Durfee, Price Thomas. Price Thomas was like 1 exchange away from a title last year.
Mm-hmm.
Kellogg kid, Wood, North Fremont's Hill, Aberdeen's Beck. Like, there's 5 kids that can compete really well, and that's just off of what I have in my brain.
Yep.
No, that's all good for sure. And then girls, guys, I was kind of looking at. I was thinking 120 is kind of intriguing to me, with Dillo from American Falls and Garcia from New Plymouth and Bezdechek from Jerome. That was one I was looking at, but girls to me is the most intriguing, Brian, because of the open state format, right? It could be any of the weights.
It is literally any bracket. I mean, 132, Newbie Ortiz, Maddie Cook is the 1 seed, Courtney Hunt. Any of that is intriguing because any of those, the Delonte girl from Fruitland, any of those girls could win it. All their matches all season have been, last second. Tiger Grizz, Newbie, and Ortiz have wrestled twice, and it's been, just tight matches. So that one could be it. There's so many girls.
Yep, for sure. Okay, the comments are continuing to roll in here. Coach Snyder says, don't sleep on American Falls. They look good for sure. Wendy wants to know, has anyone seen what times they'll be starting the tournament actually? Guys, have you seen an official start time?
9 a.m.
That's weigh-ins?
9:30. 9:30. Weigh-ins are
right?
at 7. Yeah, weigh-ins are at 7:30. They wrestled the first round at 9:30, second round at 12:30.
Okay.
And then Saturday 8:30.
Okay. Here's a good question, guys. From Bugsy. Can you guys please go over how team scoring works? Like if you have two kids at 132 and they both win matches or place or whatever combination, do both wrestlers actually score team points? Yeah, it can get a little confusing, especially because you think, oh, we've scored X amount of points, and then you find out, well, it's not actually how it went. What's the, I guess, Brian, the scoring for dummies out there?
Yeah. So the way it works in a tournament that places 16, if you got a guy that gets first, he gets 16. Second place guy gets 12 points. Third place gets 9. Fourth gets 7th. Fifth gets 5. Sixth place would get 3 points. Plus they get 1 point every match they win. So every advancement point, you get a point. Additional points, you get 2 for a fall, default disqualifications, 1.5 for a tech fall, and 1 by a major decision. So those bonus points, those can add up. If a guy, places first and gets 4 pins, he's what is that? My math, 24 points for just one person if he pinned his way through the tournament. So that's kind of the quick breakdown.
Yep, that was good. Okay. Eddie wants to know 2A preview. Okay, Eddie, here's what we've got for our 2A. This is what we've 2A, 1A. And Al, welcome back. Good to see you. Contenders. We've got Kellogg, Malad, each bringing the most with 17. New Plymouth, of course, has been a strong program over the years. In the dark horse category, Ryrie is, they had that unprecedented run of, I think it was 7 championships in a row. Westside is kind of the team I'm looking at in this dark horse category here, Jacob. But what do you make of this 2A, 1A field?
I think it's Malad's to win or to lose kind of thing. And Kellogg has a lot coming, but Malad has just so many guns. And then they have the depth. New Plymouth, though, they have something right. They do something right over there when they get to the state tournament. So it could be interesting. I like Westside, too. Westside has a really good chance to sneak up in there.
Yep. But I agree with you, Jacob. I like Malad in the team title, and I think Westside could turn some heads this year for sure. Al, what do you think of this 2A, 1A field?
Yeah, you look at Malad, they have 17 qualifiers, 5 of which are returning state placers, and then another 12 that are state qualifiers. So then you look at Kellogg, they have a large contingent as well with 17. They have 4 state placers returning with a total of 13 kids. So it's pretty even there. So I think it's going to be a 2-team race. And like he says, he talked about, the other.
Uh-oh.
Yep. All right. Brian,
crazy connection.
I know, right? Somebody get Al, get his internet company on the phone here.
Somebody throw him some help.
Yeah.
Brian, I know in the preseason, you and I both picked Malad to win the title way before the season started, but tell me, if it's not Malad, who is it?
Well, I've been on Malad all season. I thought they were going to pull it off. And this is what I find is interesting. I may say New Plymouth at this point could win it, because the reason I say that is they bring 15. Malad and Kellogg both bring 17. But New Plymouth has 3 number 1 seeds, 2 number 2 seeds, a 3 seed, and 3 5 seeds. So they've got 10 kids seated in the top 6, where Malad only has 7 in the top 6. Malad's got 4 at 7 and 8. But total, that New Plymouth has 10 kids seated. Malad has 7. Kellogg only has 6 kids seated. So I've been Malad all season, but I really think New Plymouth has a chance to pull the upset and pull it out. And then, But I think those are the top three: New Plymouth, Malad, and Kellogg. The order is to be determined, and then Firth, North, Fremont, and West Side, I think, are the three teams really pushing for a place there outside of from the dark horse list for the next spot.
Yeah, it is going to be, this to me is the most exciting team race, I think, amongst all of and the girls, obviously, as well. So we will see. Okay. Let's see. We've got a backlog of comments here. Beck and Dub, 4A 285. Sam Buck is a monster. Dawson Conklin's on a mission, and Emmett is going to show up this year. We'll see. 10 Huskies coming, 7 boys, 3 girls. Amanda says, let's go Snake River. And here's Annie. Go Timberlake, 126. Paul Sundstrom. I'm guessing Annie is a very proud mom. Beck and Dub say girls 132 is always stacked. Jack says his bracket to watch is 5A 195. That's going to be a good one for sure. Jack says all top 5 seeds are neck and neck for the win at 5A 195. Jacob, what do you make of that weight?
I think Gooley's lost what did he lose to Osmond, right?
Yep.
And they wrestled their semis. So it's kind of a big one. And then Biggs and Osmond wrestled a handful of times. That weight really could be whoever has a good Saturday.
Yep.
And a good Friday night quarters, because Biggs and Osmond in the quarters is a big one.
And I'll give you another name to keep an eye on that bracket. Colton George from Highland too. I think has potential also.
2-time state placer.
Yep, for sure. Heidi's keeping an eye on 5A 126. Cobra says 138 in the 2A. It's going to be a tough bracket. Jonathan wants to know, what about 3A heavyweight, guys? Do we have a lean there?
2A heavyweight.
3A heavyweight. I'm looking at this right away, and there's some guys that just didn't get a ton of reps under their belt. I see Isaac Finley from Buell, right? Only 15-3. I think he could be a real wild card at the very bottom. Glasscock from South Fremont, I feel like is pretty tough as well. Anybody else stand out?
The T-John kid and Finley wrestled close, like 8-6, 10-6, something like that early in the or at the Buell tournament. So it'd be close.
Yeah. Moss looks tough, but if anybody can knock him off, I'd say it's Finley.
Yep.
Glasscock, the 3 seed. I think him and Moss have wrestled multiple times, and Moss has pulled those all out. So
it'll be an interesting one for sure. Derek's keeping an eye on 5A 195. Travis wants to know 4A 195. Preston Sonner Cranny from Minico is the top seed, right? Jordan Tyler from Sandpoint, is he the 2? Am I looking at that right, guys?
No, Sarah from Preston, I think, is the 2 there.
Is the 2? Okay.
No, Tyler's the 2.
Is Tyler the 2? Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm thinking 82. Minico, Preston.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Tyler is the 2 for sure.
Jordan Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that and Sonner Cranny maybe on that top half of the bracket. He'll be tough too.
Yep. And Williamson, favorite. Yeah, and Williamson is the 5 seed. He's a 3-time state placer, and that's the bracket where you have Erickson from Pocatello with a 1-2 record at the 4 seed. So I would assume you get Williamson and Sonner Cranny in the semis, which will be an excellent match. Sonner Cranny beat him at the Red Halverson, I think. So.
Yeah, and that's a tough one for Erickson from Pokey, right? Going 1-2. Basically, Brian competed at districts, right? I mean, that wasn't able to compete. Here it comes to districts. Now that's not his fault that he's seated where he is, but that's always something that's interesting this time of year too, is the seeding and how that all gets figured out.
Yeah,
but it is. It's a lot of stumping, right? All the coaches get together and they stump for their guys, and it's quite a process for sure. Mike says 132 girls will be insane. Yeah, we were talking about that. Brock says 113 2A bracket. Look for freshman Blaine Effington to make noise.
32 girls will be insane. Yeah, we were talking about.
And then Greg, it correlates nicely to the next question. What freshman do you think will have the best shot to win a title Al, you've talked about this great freshman class all year.
Well, you got Camden Coons from Mountain Home. You got Ian Avalos, who's starting to rise to the occasion. He beat some 2 state placers to win the District 3 title in the 5A. So those are just two kids. I know you guys have a few kids over in the East that are doing well as in the lightweights as well, right? Brian, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, odds are it's one of the lightweights, but, you get up a little bit. Drake Morris and Malad, I think he's got a really, really good shot at winning his weight, freshman from Malad. As far as upper weights freshman, it's always tough coming in as a freshman. The Glasscock kid Miller from St. Anthony, South Fremont, I think he's coming in at 3 seed. He's got a couple of hammers at 1 and 2, so that's going to be tough. And then Blaze Turner, American Falls, I think is coming in at the 4 seed. And I really liked his odds coming into it, but what happened, you had Cash Cobb and Tennant move up a weight for district. And so kind of cleared out that 70 for Fulmer. Yeah, Sheen and Cobb. And so that made it a little tougher for the freshman from American Falls, but he'll still be in the contention.
I got my lock. Kiana Conrad.
That's what I was going to say, Jacob. That's what I was going to say, Kiana Conrad.
That's not fair.
Another cheat code there on the girls' side, of course. Yeah. The great Blackfoot freshman. Speaking of girls, Melinda says 114 looking tough as well. Slider, Nichols, Williams, Smith, Avellino could call for the surprising upset. That's going to be a very interesting girls bracket.
That's stacked.
That is stacked for sure. Okay, Kelly. Or before we get to Kelly, Krishna says, "What about GF? That's Glenn's Ferry. The pilots." I guess that's a good question to ask, is because we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The top placing 1A team does get a banner to hang in the gym, right? That's what we were told in the comments. And so I don't know, Glenn's Ferry could be in the mix for that. I like, Clearwater Valley, I think, has some decent people. Tri Valley. Is there a 1A team that someone's thinking of that?
I'm going Tri-Valley. Simply, I mean, they brought 10. So first, it's the most of any 1A school, but then they've got 4 seeded in the top 3, 6 total seeds, which is more than anyone. Next to them would be Clearwater Valley, only bringing 6. 4 of theirs are seeded. The 2 Myers brothers are seeded 1st and 3rd. But I think Tri-Valley just have 6 kids seeded. That's, more than anybody by a ways, and they brought 10 total. So I think Tri-Valley. Glenn's Ferry, they brought 5 kids, and I think they've got 3 in the top 6 seeds. So, they could compete, but I'd say Tri-Valley, and if not, Clearwater Valley.
And like, I don't know, I always think of Grace too, right? If I'm thinking of 1A wrestling programs, Jacob,
Grace is 2 though. I think Grace is 2. Aren't they 2A? Am I wrong?
They're 1.
I think they're 1A for all the other sports they're in.
Are they?
Yeah. So I feel like Grace is always right there too, but
yeah.
Interesting for sure. All right, Kelly.
So
there you go. Okay. Well, you and Krishna are going to be good pals then. Okay. Kelly wants to know 4A preview, please. All right, guys. Here's what we've got for our 4A bracket. Let me get question off the screen here so we can see the full run of it. Contenders: Minico, Bishop Kelly, Caldwell. That's kind of the big 3 we're all looking at. Dark horses: Century, Lakeland, Bonneville, Blackfoot, Jerome. Al, we've talked about this all year. This is the ultimate, like, if you're a scientist, like, this is the experiment. Okay. Is it Minico with the numbers? Is it Bishop Kelly with the top end talent, knowing that they have to hit the top of the podium almost universally with all their studs to pull this thing off?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at this and break it down so many different ways. There's so many different variables. There's so many ifs, maybes, what ifs. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, you got Minico coming in with 20 qualifiers, 9 of which are returning state placers, remaining are qualifiers. Then you got Bishop Kelly, which in my opinion has the best first team group, where they have 7 returning medalists, 5 of which are state champions. It's going to come down to it's going to be an all hands on deck effort by both teams. And there's so many variables, but Minico's going to be tough to beat because they have the numbers, but anything can happen. I'm not discounting Bishop Kelly.
Jacob, what do you make of this Minico PK showdown?
I don't think Minico gets enough credit for. They got some horses too. Actually, I gotta watch them in Tiger Grizz. They got some guys that can. Usually, like Yozo, they had some 3, 4, 5, or they had a ton of 3, 4, 5s, maybe a second, maybe a champ. They could literally probably have 3, 4 champs. Like Vale, if he's watching.
Preston
Going for the 3-time.
Yeah.
Keith could win it. Twist, he's a wild card. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty tough. Otley's in there. Where else? They're the small dudes.
Yeah.
Valero.
Mikael Teague, right? He went second in
Yep.
state last year.
Yep.
Yep.
They actually have some horses. Bishop Kelly could win 5 or 6 titles. I'm comfortable with the 5 titles and not be state champs because Minico does have the horses.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be close. I was figuring just points. If their seeded guys place where they're seeded, it would be a 122 tie just on those seeds without advancement points. I mean, it's that tight. 6 number 1 seeds. That's pretty crazy. If they won all 6, I think BK has a good shot. But odds are they're not going to win all 6. Maybe 5 out of the 6. And if Minico wins their 3-1 seeds and Twist, it's going to be tight. But it could be one of the closest races we've seen in a while.
Yeah, it could come down to the wire for sure. And then, for the dark horses, a team I'm really keeping an eye on, I think, is Bonneville over here on this dark horse. I think they've got a chance to challenge for a top 3 position. But
yeah,
that's what I think there. Okay, so that's your 4A kind of team preview. We'll get back into the comments here. Let's see. Here's a question. Let's see. Coach Snyder says 145 statewide is really tough, but 4A 145 is going to be a dogfight. Kind of piggybacking off of our 4A discussion for sure.
Yeah, that's a solid bracket for sure. I mean, Snyder, the 1 seed. You got Vale that's been injured a lot of the season coming in there. Ellis from Blackfoot, solid. I think Valdez is the 1 seed. Snyder is the 2. So and they met last year at state, and Snyder won that one to make the finals. But go from Caldwell. That's Clark Peters from Shelley wrestled Snyder really tough in districts. So that's going to be another fun one to watch for sure.
So Kenzie Thompson too, the BK kid.
Yep,
that kid's pretty tough.
So Brandon, you asked me about the 5A. There's a lot of weights where we expect certain people to win, but I'm looking at one of the weights I'm sort of highlighting is 160s, where you got Trey Smith, the Post Falls, and Jacob Blanford. That's the one I'm watching closely because I think if they both make the finals, that can be an interesting final to win it. There's no clear-cut favorite there.
Yep, should be pretty good. Lynn's a Post Falls fan. 5A, our comeback. Ryder and Trey are young men coming back. It's gonna be interesting. Make that 5A race a little tighter for sure. Zach says 4A 170 should be fun. That's going to be a good one as well. Yeah. Heidi, shout out to Dylan Frothinger, 5A 106.
Looks solid at districts.
Yeah, Al, you saw that up close and personal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Beck and Dub wants to know, does Conrad walk through the girls 126? Haven't been able to watch her, but she's undefeated as a freshman. I think she's the favorite. I'm never going to say somebody's going to walk through a bracket because it's state and you just never know, but
I'll say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Who she hasn't seen in that bracket is Zimmerman from Moscow is coming back. She's solid. I still think Conrad probably handles it, but there's a couple interesting possible matchups there.
Yeah, it'll be.
So I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to go on the record to say that, since I've been here and watched girls wrestling, this is probably the best incoming freshman class we've seen in Idaho. I'm talking, we got it between, Olivia Bezjacek, Ken Conrad, Roxy Sheen, Ali Sponskara, all those girls coming in as freshmen. I think in the next few years, we're going to see several girls ranked nationally. Mm-hmm. This group is solid. So.
Yeah, we'll look back on this and talk about kind of an all-timer class with this group of young ladies coming through for sure.
I think they're going to set a bigger precedent.
Yep. I think it's kind of cool. We're here kind of watching it unfold in real time. That's really fun for everybody here in Idaho. Kyle and Z, shout out to James Hansen from Ryrie, 145 in the 2A.
Another solid freshman there.
Yes, for sure. Coach Snyder, I think talking about Kiana Conrad here, she'll be tough to beat. I think she will pin her way through. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. Charles says 112 girls. Ortiz from Glens Ferry, an underrated freshman, could pull some upsets. Al, another one of those talented freshmen. And let's kind of dovetail that into Melinda wants to know girls preview. Okay, guys, here we go. This is the toughest one to predict and to project because it's all classifications. And as you'll see here, the highest number of teams, the highest number of athletes from any one team is 8. So a lot could happen in this bracket, but our contenders, we've kind of identified. Al, in the history of girls wrestling in Idaho, Eagle has been the only state champion so far. They bring back 7 girls to state this year. Canyon Ridge and Thunder Ridge each have 8. Just kind of going with your gut, Al. What do you think about girls?
Oh, we can't discount Eagle from winning it again because of the teams that we're talking about. They have 3 returning state placers with Holland Weber. She's a 3-time placer going for a 4th medal. Jordan LeBeau, she's 2-time finalist and champion, and Emery Wood, who's a 2-time placer. And then they got several girls up and coming. So we can't discount them. But then we look at Thunder Ridge. They got 2 placers, and Rhea Megan and Shauna Anderson coming back, both state placers and several qualifiers, as well as Canyon Ridge. They've been doing well. So, but I don't want to discount Rocky Mountain High School where I coach. We have 7 girls coming back. Going to the state tournament, and these girls have been working hard, and we got several girls that can they've done well at districts, and I think they're going to rise to the occasion come this week. So it's going to be an interesting tournament.
Yep. Jacob, what do you think about this girls race?
It's so hard to measure girls like all year, even doing rankings, like when we're all going through it. How do you measure it? Is Raleigh what you go off of, or is it Jaybird, or is it like all? You never really see the North girls, combined with everybody. So I like Thunder Ridge. You win Raleigh, so I'll give you that there. I think they won Tiger Ridge too. Could be wrong about that, but you win those 2. You're going with the favorites, even though Eagle, 2-time champs, and they put it together when it counts, but. Yeah, Thunder Ridge, it's theirs to, if they wrestle. They kind of got hosed at 100 a little bit. That girls bracket at 100 where they have to wrestle each other in the quarters. Yeah.
That's a tough drop. Brian, I'm kind of with Jacob. I think it's Thunder Ridge's year. What do you think?
I think so too. I mean, they brought 7 girls. They've got 4 seeded. That's the most anybody has seeded, except for here's your dark horse. American Falls has, no girl has multiple number 1s, but American Falls has 1 number 1 seed and 2 number 2 seeds, 4 total seeded. Them and Thunder Ridge have the most girls seeded in the top 8. So, I think I think it's Thunder Ridges, but I rounding that out, I think American Falls and Eagle fighting for a spot. Rocky Mountain's right there. Skyline, had they not lost their 120-pounder, she's having shoulder surgery. She was in the Tiger Ridge finals and just couldn't make it through the district tournament. So I don't think, I think that kind of put them out. So I think those are we've got them listed there. Columbia could surprise people, but I like American Falls out of that dark category. I would say they're going to get a trophy, 1, 2, or 3. It's just yet to be seen. Are they 2 or 3? But I think it's Thunders just based on who they're bringing.
Al,
what's that?
Go ahead,
No,
Al.
great assessment, Brian. Great assessment.
And I was going to say my dark horse, I kind of like Columbia. I don't know. Call it a gut feeling. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. They got 6 qualifiers, but I like to also highlight some of the girls that we didn't talk about. Jolie Slider from Lewiston. I mean, she's a state champion, 2-time placer, ranked nationally. We have Amy Hartman, who's a 2-time finalist champion. She's also ranked nationally. We got Alistair Dillo, who's a returning champion. Elise Twait, looking really solid this year, returning champion. Claire Waite, I think she's a state champion. I think double finalist. Kyra Richards from Nampa, she's a 2-time finalist and champion. And Jordan LeBeau, they're all going for their second state title this year. So those are some of the leaders there in the girls division.
Pretty remarkable. And Al, you didn't even mention in all these girls we've talked about, of course, Amy Hartman from Mountain Home too. You just did the Hidden Gems of Idaho profile with her last week. She'll be a fun one to watch also.
No, she's a tough kid. I think her trajectory is sky's the limit with her if she really wants it. She's not afraid to get into the mix and compete. She loves to compete. I think if she wants to go to the Olympics someday or place at the NCAAs in girls division, I think it's more than capable. So, she's a hard worker.
Yep. A lot of good girls chats in the comment here. Bugsy says the Moscow girl, I think he's talking about Zimmerman, placed at Tri-State in the boys bracket as a freshman. That's tough. That's pretty impressive. Beck and Dub say at 114, Dahlia Yerby can do damage. Jacob, you're on board with that.
Yeah, I think so. 114, I think after Jolie is kind of anybody can wrestle.
Yeah. Tiff and Brian say, 114 girls is stacked. Will be fun to watch for sure. Ray says, don't sleep on Bonners Ferry here, guys. I have to say, I've been impressed watching the Bonners Ferry girls. They are the ultimate unknown coming from North Idaho. We'll see how that translates.
And they're bringing, returning state champion 107 Therians there, Richter. They've got some hammers there.
Yep. Beck and Dub, Grayson Dennis, also from Emmett, has a win and can score some points for sure. Kendra says, can't wait to watch 132 girls as well. And Tiff and Brian, of course, Elise wrestles for Meridian. Let's go Warriors. Let's get our fourth in a row on the boys' side. Greg Lee, shout out to Brock Armstrong at 152, only freshman to place at Tri-State above 126. Apparently he's been out for the season after Raleigh Lane though, Brian. And I guess I didn't look at the injury report too closely to see who actually was able to compete at districts, find their way to state, but there are some of those, right?
There are. Yeah. And I didn't see that Armstrong made it back, but I mean, good thing we mentioned several that did, but I didn't see Armstrong made it back.
Yep. And HA talking about, so we were talking about Zimmerman from Moscow hitting the podium at boys Tri-State. Jolie from Lewiston hit that podium as well. So that's awesome to see for sure. Melinda says 107 is anyone's game between Avellino, Swankara, and Darien. I think that's going to be a really fascinating bracket to see how that shakes out for sure. Miria says, let's not forget Malia Garcia from New Plymouth at 120. She lost to Dillo by 1 point. That's the number one seed, Jacob.
She's another solid girl coming up. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Bethany says, Brock's out with a broken foot. And Michael says the same. No Armstrong at districts there. So, okay. Alfonso wants to know, who is the toughest wrestler? Maybe not the most technical, but just downright tough. Brian, I think right away back to, it was Riker Vale, right? Did he dislocate his jaw and popped it back into place?
He did. That was pretty crazy. And if you're going just brute strength and just going out there and competing, Jonathan Siemens at 170, he's not the most technical, but he beats some kids just with, brute strength and never stop motor. So, but if you're talking pain tolerance, I think you got to go Vale.
Yeah. That's intense. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Jacob, you got a kid you're thinking about here, just tough as nails.
Skellinger.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
Every time I've seen him since he was like 7, I thought he was a grown man body. Just move his head. He's a good.
Yeah, because Jacob, I remember him back in the Bay Area. I mean, he's 4 or 5 years old. He has been training at the elite level week in and week out since he's 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is wrestling. I mean, so I haven't seen anyone that dedicated. I mean, the guy's 100% in. So yeah, you're right.
Yep, all the way in for sure. That's pretty remarkable stuff there. Okay, let's keep rolling on in the chat here. Alfonso says he likes Skellinger too. So,
But he has been the most technical. Skellinger is pretty technical, though.
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, he's got it all. He's the total package. That's
I'll give you that.
Here's Ryan Skaggs. He's a North Idaho broadcaster for us. Trey Gibson from St. Mary's, tough as nails. Heck of a football player, too, for sure. Tiffany and Brian, Siemens never stops. Yep. Here's one we didn't think about. Michael says Shiloh Jones is a brick house.
You can't go wrong with Shiloh.
No, and what people don't realize with Shiloh, he's been traveling the country. He's 11-time All-American, right? He's placed at the Folkstyle, Fargo Nationals, U.S. Open. He's been to the Walsh Ironman. He's been everywhere. So if anyone has put his reputation on the line, he's one of them. That kid is really he's really put it on the line against the best of the best in the country.
Yep. He's a tough one for sure. Okay, here's a question. Megan wants to know, how about the most technical? Let's lean the other way. Who's the master technician out there on the mat? Anybody got one off the top of their head? Jacob, you got one?
Gomara, Exford, Burton, Mauger.
I agree.
Yep.
That's
I'm right there too.
Yep. Tiffany and
Martino's
Brian.
pretty technical too. I like Martino there too. He's just a junior. The others are seniors, but yeah.
Yep. Tiffany and Brian like Mara. Matthew likes Mara. Alfonso likes Mauger. Yep. Those are all good answers. Here's Lizzie Boyd. Go Kiana Conrad. Yep. We talked about we like her chances. That's kind of burying the lead a little bit, but Joey Fulmer giving a shout out to, I'm going to guess that's Riker Fulmer from Teton there. Okay, Melinda, 100-pound girls, Drake, O'Connor, Holt, and Brown. And we kind of talked about that bracket a little bit, Jacob. You were talking about Thunder Ridge. Might have to tighten on Titan there in the quarters, right?
Yeah, in the quarters. And then O'Connor and Brown had a good match in the semis of districts. 2-point match, so
right.
It'd be good.
Yep. Okay, Nancy wants to know most technical among the girls. And this is where I'd like to hear from the chat too, because most technical, I really like Jolie Slider. I think she's pretty good for Lewiston. She's really mastered
solid.
the craft. Yeah.
She's probably won the most. I mean, she's placed at Fargo, Folkstyle, so she's pretty solid.
I'm going back to Kiana.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
She hits everything.
It's just the default.
Yeah, she ripped like 3 nasty headlocks. I think one to the right, one to the left. She threw an arm throw in there, had some leg attacks. That was one match. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. And, Waite, both Waite and Twait are both super technical wrestlers as well. So, there's a handful.
And Melinda says Slider or Sheen, Roxy Sheen from Buell, too, would be pretty good. And Cody's with me, Jolie Slider. Yep. Beck and Dub, Nancy Wheeler, Gleisman, Twait. Yep, those are all good. Okay, Christine says best thing I've seen in the last 2 weeks is Saxton Scott is free. Brian, can you, for those that may not have been paying attention to it too closely, we know Saxton Scott was at Bonneville last year, had transferred schools, had been waiting all season long to see if he'd be eligible to compete. Give us a quick update on how that played out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got the final decision. So it was appealed denied, and then there was one more round of appeals, and they approved it the Friday before district. So he had about 5 days to get ready, and he's been keeping himself ready. So that was fun to see him back wrestling, and just to see the joy in his face when he heard the news. That was pretty special.
And he has been competing unattached at some competitions throughout the season here as well. So Mike says, Saxton Freed. There it is. We were talking about most technical girls wrestler. We were talking about Elise Twait, Tiffany and Brian. Elise's parents. Elise's technique has taken big steps in her recovery from surgery. Really made her focus on those little details. Yeah, Al, because you can get by on the raw strength, but when you have an injury or something affects you, you do have to kind of, how do I? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very difficult. I've wrestled with injuries, and sometimes it can hamper you. You have to adjust your style a bit, and it can be difficult to win. But a little thing about Elise Twait, I believe, correct me, guys, gentlemen, if I'm wrong, isn't Elise and her brother the first brother and sister to win state in Idaho? Yeah.
What a cool deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That is.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, really cool.
That's
So
awesome. Okay, let's continue on here. Brock wants to know, in your predictions at 2A, did you score it out how it is seeded with placement and advancement points? Can't really predict bonus points, but have you guys ran the scores based on seed? Not officially, not like where we sat down and filled out the bracket and said, hey, here's how there's just too many variables, right, Al, to predict
yes.
how.
Well, I'd love to do it. I've been busy writing the preview, so I mean, it's like I'm going through data. But yeah, it's like Brian was saying. He had, what was it, Brian? He had the 4A. He had 122 to 122 if they all went their seeds, right? Yeah.
And 2A, I did the same calculation just to see. And if the seeds place where they're seated, New Plymouth has 10 kids seated in the top 6, including 3 firsts and 2 seconds. So if it played by seed, New Plymouth wins that. Kellogg, Malad both have. Kellogg has 6 guys seated in the top 6. Malad has 7, but New Plymouth's 10. If it goes chalk, the New Plymouth pulls that out.
Yeah, and that's just the hard part about it. That's what makes state so fun, is we can kind of sketch out how we think it's going to go, but we're not computers. Like it's kind of,
if this happens, if that happens, yep.
Yes, a lot of variables for sure. Hey, we were talking about first brother-sister duo here to win championships. Melinda says maybe Casey and Alyssa Randalls from Coeur d'Alene also both won titles. I know Alyssa did. I'll be honest. I don't know. Casey did at some point, right? I think. I'm not as brushed up on my history. I wasn't here when Casey was competing, but
yeah, that may be the case, but I think in the same year I think it's the same year Isaiah and Elise won it. So
yes,
I think you're right.
Casey and Alyssa were a few years different.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they might have been the first to accomplish the feat separately, but under the same roof. But we're talking about same year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Brock was wondering, my question was if you looked at it strictly by seed. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, that's where we start. That's kind of the baseline of how we sketch out how it might go for sure. Okay. Let's see here. Let's wrap up with this, guys. The big question everybody's been wanting to know. 5A preview. All right. We'll wrap up with the 5A preview, and then we will get on out for the night because we've hit the 1 hour mark. So here it is, guys. Our 5A preview. We've listed out 5 contenders. Meridian with 24. Madison bringing 21 from the East. Middleton and Post Falls each with 19. Nampa lurking with 14, right? They've had some big performances this year. I think about Raleigh Lane, how well they did, and they just always seem to get the absolute most out of their guys. The dark horses, Coeur d'Alene and Eagle each have 13. Rocky Mountain with 10. Highland and Mountain View each with 9. We know those heavyweights from Mountain View. We know Highland's got a couple of really solid individuals here. Brian, what do you think about this 5A field?
So I've got it same thing by chalk. Meridian wins it. I've got Meridian, Post Falls, Nampa 1, 2, and 3. But dark horses there. Middleton also has 7 guys seated. Madison's got 9 guys actually seated. The difference is Meridian's got 4 seated 1. Post Falls has 3 seated 1. Nampa 3 seated 1. Madison's seeds come in the 4th and 5th seeds where they've got 6 guys seated 4th, and so that's how I've got it. I think Meridian, Post Falls, Nampa are 1, 2, and 3, with Madison, Middleton, and Coeur d'Alene making some noise for one of those spots.
Al, what do you think?
I agree with them. It's going to be in that order, but we also have to remember. I don't know if Nampa has enough extra numbers to do it, but they do. Of their 7 returning state medals, I believe. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All 7 of them been in the state finals. So I know the Macias brothers will likely meet each other in the second round, but they do have a lot of people with the finals experience. So, but I don't know if they're going to be able to catch Meridian or Post Falls. It's really hard. There's going to be a lot of factors. So I think the top 3 teams, as we indicated, are those. But like you said, Middleton and Madison could challenge for a top 3 spot.
Jacob?
Sorry, I was muted. I think Meridian, the clear favorite, but Coach Reardon always has that magic somehow to get the state tournament. The real one is the 3 through 4, like the 3 and the 4. Could be anybody. Madison, Middleton, Nampa. Nampa could put a lot of guys in the finals, but Madison and Middleton with all that depth, a lot of bodies on the podium could be a difference.
Yeah, Madison's the team I'm really keeping an eye on, because with 21 guys, just by number alone, you figure, okay, they're gonna score some points. So, but yeah, top 3, I think Middleton, Post Falls, Nampa. Okay, Brian, tell me, Post Falls can win because I know we got a lot of Trojan fans here. What does Post Falls have to do to win?
They've got to win titles with Seguin, Barnhart, Smith, their top seeds, Hamilton, Martin, their 2 seeds, and Hamilton, their 3 seed. If those guys go chalk, and either Gonzalez, Mara, Rogers, or Gooley lose, they've got to have one of those Meridian guys lose and not get a finals, and then pull their horses through.
Okay, it is. So you're saying there's a chance.
Always a chance, right?
All right. Italy, yes, Meridian just going for the 4-peat. They are so tough, so difficult for sure. Cody says, hey, Lewiston bringing 10 studs as well. Going to bust up some brackets for sure. We know they got, Hoyt Haas at the top, and yeah, there'll be an interesting one for sure. As well.
Lockhart. I mean, they've got 4 or 5 guys seated, so they can make some noise.
Yep, definitely. So, Alfonso, shout out to all those kids that are still wrestling, even just to get a couple wins at state. Al, this is an important thing, right? Because success is subjective, right? Some kids are going to state with the expectation of, I'm going to compete for the title. Other kids are going just to say, hey, let me get a couple of wins. Maybe it's even on the backside of the bracket in the blood rounds or something. Everybody defines success differently, and that's what makes state so much fun.
Yeah, it is. And we have to remember, wrestling is by far one of the toughest sports any kid or anyone will ever experience in their life. Just to make it through the whole process, the season, and make it even to the state tournament speaks volumes, what it takes to do that. So kudos to all wrestlers out there that have made it this far.
Yeah, everybody that's made it to this point is a champion just for getting there and competing, and it's going to be so much fun to see how everybody goes and competes there. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Lynn says Post Falls bringing it. Okay, we'll see. I'm excited for it for sure. Melinda wants to know who's our athlete of the week. Yes, good question. We decided to hold off on that because there was going to be so much talk about state and what's coming up, and we knew we were going to dive into brackets and matchups and previews, and we wanted to use our time as efficiently as possible. So we did not do one this week because everybody who got to state is worthy of being the Idaho Matt Chat Wrestler of the Week, I think. So we'll see. Mike wants to give a shout out to Aaron Peterson from Madison, Coach of the Year. Hey, that's a good one. That's not an official award we give out, but you guys got a Coach of the Year candidate?
Peterson is up there for sure. I mean, what he's done with Madison in a short period of time to bring 21 kids, pretty impressive.
That's a good one. Okay. That seems unanimous. Okay. Macy wants to know, will you guys have a post-state matchup? The answer is yes, we will.
I'll be back.
we gotta figure out what night we're gonna do it on, because next week, next Tuesday night, I'm gonna be.
Don't say it.
Don't say it.
I've made it the whole time with that. There is another state championship event coming up next week that I will have to do a live preview show for on Tuesday night. So we may have to do like Monday night. We could maybe do Wednesday. I'm going to be driving. That'd be kind of hard. So I don't know. We'll figure it out though, and we will let everybody know. So for sure, it's going to be a lot of fun.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, we will. But we will let everybody know on the IdahoSports.com Facebook page, the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page, our Twitter account as well. But yes, we will do a post-state show, and then we will ride off into the off season. Okay. Brian says, I can't wait for Al's article. Yes, stay tuned. We're hoping Wednesday, Thursday at the absolute latest.
I will be done with them tomorrow. I'm just doing all the write-ups right now, and I'm on the 3A. I got a 2A and 1A and girls. So almost done tomorrow.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. Megan says, shout out to Bob Maurer, Lewiston's club coach, has 10 kids from his club going to state. That's awesome. Another member of the Haas family, Bainey, no wrestler of the week, and now talking about basketball. Yeah, sorry.
No, we didn't mention that sport.
That was I was only quoting there. I didn't mention it. So for sure. And then, okay, last one here, David and Michaela. How about a shout out for all those wrestlers that are injured or otherwise not wrestling at state? Great season to them as well. Yes. Some kids, unfortunately, it just happens, right? You get hurt as the season goes along, and they'll be there at state as well, cheering on and supporting their teammates from the sidelines for sure. All right. Big thanks to everybody for being in the chat tonight. It was a great conversation about all of the exciting state wrestling that's coming up, and everybody that's traveling to state, do so safely. All right. We want you to get there in one piece and enjoy the weekend and have fun, everybody. And we will be back next week to break it all down on our state recap special. Stay tuned. Date, time, all that stuff to be determined still. Jacob, as always, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Yep. Brian, great work as always.
Yeah, we'll see everyone this Friday, Saturdays. Stop by and say hi.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time for sure. Al, I got you your press pass this year, so you should be good to go to get down on the floor.
They won't kick me off this time. It happened at the end, though, so I was able to sneak. I was able to do it. I thought I was okay last year with that one pass you gave me, but it's all good.
I got you the official pink pass this year, so you could be out on the floor. So, all right.
Gotta love it.
Yep, for sure. Looking forward to Al's previews and also recaps of what went down at state. Until then,
do a recap.
Yep, sounds good as always. There's no hard deadline on that, Al. So you're good.
It's all fun. It's for the kids.
Yep, for sure. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to the Idaho Matt Chat State Tournament Preview Special. Have fun. Everybody be safe competing at state, and we'll see you back here for our post-state special next week on IdahoSports.com.